What would you do if the same parents who threw you out at 16 showed up at your door 19 years later, asking for your help? Imagine standing in the snow, pregnant, abandoned, hearing your own father say you're no longer part of the family. Now imagine building a life from nothing, losing the love of your life, raising a child alone. And then, one evening, the doorbell rings. The people who erased you from their will are now begging to be written back into your life. Would you forgive them, or would you remind them exactly what they lost? Stay with me till the end, because what happens next will leave you speechless. And if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your love and support mean everything to us. My name is Hannah Cole. I'm 35 years old. 19 years ago, my parents closed the front door behind me and told me not to come back unless I was willing to fix my mistake. I was 16. It was February. Snow instead of rain. One backpack. No plan. That night, my father said something I will never forget. He looked at me like I was a stain on the carpet and said, "You are not ruining this family's name." What he meant was, I already had. I was pregnant. And in our house, reputation was a religion. We lived in a quiet suburb outside Denver. My dad owned a financial consulting firm. My mom led women's Bible studies and charity galas. My older brother was on track to join a top law school. We were the family people pointed at and said, they've done everything right. Except me. I wasn't wild, I wasn't reckless, I was just lonely. I met Daniel in art class. He wasn't rich, he didn't come from the right kind of family, but he listened when I talked. He remembered small things. He made me feel seen in a house where I felt like background noise. When I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. When I told my parents, they weren't. They were angry. Not because I was scared, not because I was 16, but because someone might find out. My mother cried, but not for me. She cried for what the neighbors would say. My father didn't shout. He was calm. That was worse. You have two choices, he said. End it, or leave. I remembered staring at the kitchen clock while he spoke. The second hand kept moving like nothing important was happening, like my life wasn't splitting in half. I chose my baby. By 9 p.m., my suitcase was on the porch. My mom wouldn't look at me. My brother stayed upstairs. My dad handed me an envelope. Inside were papers, signed, notarized. A formal statement cutting me out of the family trust, declaring they had no financial or legal responsibility for me or any offspring resulting from this decision. Offspring. That was the word they used for my child. I slept on Daniel's sister's couch for 3 weeks. After that, we rented a tiny basement apartment that smelled like damp concrete and old paint. The heater barely worked. The windows didn't open all the way. But it was ours. My son Noah was born in October. 7 pounds, loud lungs, tiny fingers that wrapped around mine like he was anchoring me to the earth. I was 17, exhausted, terrified, and more certain of anything than I had ever been. I would never make him feel unwanted. Daniel worked construction during the day and delivered pizzas at night. I got my GED with Noah asleep in a stroller next to my desk. I took community college classes one at a time. I studied while he napped. I memorized business terms while rocking him at 2 a.m. We didn't have much. But we had laughter, we had inside jokes, we had love that wasn't conditional. When Noah was 4, Daniel died. A scaffolding collapse at a job site. One phone call, one moment, everything gone. I was 21, a widow without ever being a wife, a single mother with rent due and grief that felt like drowning. For 1 week, I thought about calling my parents. I even dialed the number once, but I remembered the envelope. The word. Offspring. And I hung up. I worked 3 jobs that year, receptionist in the mornings, waitress at night, freelance bookkeeping for small businesses on weekends. I learned QuickBooks from YouTube videos at 3 a.m. I built spreadsheets for contractors who didn't want to deal with numbers. I discovered I was good at it. Really good. At 26, I started my own small accounting service from my kitchen table.
At 30, I rented my first office. At 33, I had 14 employees and a client list that included 2 regional construction companies and a tech startup. Last year, our annual revenue crossed $3.6 million. Noah is 18 now. He's taller than me, smarter than I ever was. He got accepted into a top engineering program on scholarship. He knows everything about my parents. I never lied to him. I just never poisoned him with bitterness either. Then 2 weeks ago, my doorbell rang. I opened it, and there they were, 19 years older, smaller somehow, my father's hair almost white, my mother's posture not as sharp. They stood on my porch like we'd spoken yesterday. Hannah, my mom said, like my name hadn't been erased from her vocabulary for nearly 2 decades. My father didn't waste time. We need to talk. I didn't invite them in, but they stepped inside anyway. They looked around my living room, the hardwood floors, the framed photos of Noah at every age, my degree on the wall, the award plaque from the Chamber of Commerce. You've done well, my father said. Not, I'm proud of you, just an evaluation. Then he told me why they were there. My brother, golden child, law school graduate, heir to the family name, had been indicted for financial fraud, a bad investment scheme, headlines, court dates, reputation in freefall. Their firm was collapsing, clients pulling out, church friends whispering. And, I asked. My father inhaled slowly. We need help restructuring assets, quietly, discreetly. He looked at my bookshelf where my award plaque stood. You have the expertise. There it was. Not regret. Not apology. Need. And Noah, my mother added quickly, we've told some people about him, about our grandson. It would help if... I laughed. I couldn't stop. You told people about him? Well, yes, she said, flustered. We didn't want questions about why we never mentioned our youngest daughter. Youngest daughter. 19 years too late. My father placed a folder on my coffee table. We're prepared to compensate you, a consulting fee, and to restore you in the will. Restore. Like I was a file they'd accidentally deleted. Before I could respond, footsteps came down the stairs. Mom? Noah's voice. He walked into the room and froze. He knew exactly who they were. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Oh my goodness, he looks just like... Don't, I said softly. Noah stepped beside me. These are the grandparents who kicked you out? He asked. Yes. He looked at them for a long moment, calm, steady. You don't get to show up now because you're embarrassed, he said. You don't get to borrow our success to patch your failure. My father bristled. Young man, you don't understand the complexity. I understand enough, he replied. You threw away a 16-year-old girl because you were scared of gossip. The silence was heavy. My mom started crying. Real tears this time. We made a mistake, she whispered. No, I said gently. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. You made a choice. My father looked at me, something breaking behind his eyes. We were afraid, he admitted. We thought we were protecting the family. You were protecting your image, I said. Not your family. He lowered his gaze. For a second, just a second, I saw the weight of it hit him. 19 years of pretending I didn't exist. 19 years of constructing a story that didn't include me. Now that story was collapsing, just like mine once had. I won't help you hide anything, I said idly. If you need a consultant, hire one. If you need forgiveness, that's a different conversation, and it doesn't start with money. My mother reached for my hand. Can we try? She asked. Try. Such a small word. I looked at Noah. He nodded slightly. I'm not promising reconciliation, I said. I'm promising honesty. If we do this, we do it in the open. No lies, no rewriting history. My father swallowed. Okay. They left that night without a signed contract, without photos, without guarantees. Just truth. The next few weeks were messy. Conversations, arguments, long silences, my father stepping down publicly from his firm, my mother calling not to ask for favors but to listen. Noah met them for coffee once, on his terms. They're not heroes in this story. They're flawed. Human. Late. But here's what I've learned. Closure doesn't always come with apologies wrapped in bows. sometimes it comes when you stop needing the people who hurt you to validate your worth. 19 years ago, I stood in the snow with one backpack and a baby inside me. I thought my life was over. It hadn't even started. If you're listening to this and you feel discarded, invisible, like someone else's reputation matters more than your existence, hear me clearly. Their rejection is not a prophecy over your life. You can build something extraordinary from what they tried to break. You can raise love where they planted shame. You can become so steady that when they finally knock on your door, you're the one deciding whether it opens. If this story moved you even a little, if it made you feel seen, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes the people who were told they would ruin everything are the ones who end up rebuilding it better than anyone else ever could.